Hey everybody, welcome back to Trial and Error. I'm extra excited about this one. Not only do we have a new welder here to disassemble and test, but it's from a brand new company that's new to the market called Arccaptain. This is their MIG200. It's a multi-process machine, and we're going to get into her, see how she's built, and if it's any good. So stay tuned for that. Well, it's a nice looking unit. Oh, what does that remind me of? Oh, I guess it's kind of a Yes Welder-esque front panel layout, and yeah, that's okay, cool. So very first impressions, great powder coat on the metal part of the bodywork here. Plastic that they use for the front and end caps, not the best. It's just got that offshore sheen to it. Doesn't smell though, so that's good. It's got a lot of, looks like it's got a lot of poly in it, fiberglass. So I'm sure it'll hold up pretty good, but it's just not a real high-end feel. But again, this isn't a high-end price tag either, so you can only expect so much. Well, they actually grounded the door. That's nice. All metal drive unit. I'm seeing this drive unit in a few different machines that are coming from overseas, and I've got it in one of mine over there, and I really like it. There's basically no plastic anywhere in the mechanical pieces of this drive unit. It's metal all the way back to the motor in a cast aluminum base, adjustable. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so here's your positive terminal. So they did use some meaty metal here. It's nice and thick, but I would have liked to see some copper there instead of just whatever it might be. It's steel. So, you know, definitely a cost-cutting measure there that is less than stellar. Door's a little flimsy. I mean, it works. Back panel. Gas is really positively affixed. Yeah, okay on the on-off switch, nothing spectacular. And they've got a single fan down there. Nothing really to show on this side. It is a nice finish and the graphics are done really well on it. Like that piece of it looks nice. And then on the front panel, it looks like we have an LED screen, not like an LED TV screen, but LEDs behind a tinted panel. It has a nice look to it. Oh, that's cool. They threw a remote foot pedal control option in for the TIG. You don't usually get that on a cheaper multi-process machine. The TIG is not that great. And they don't even give you an option for a foot pedal a lot of the time, so that's nice. Usually it's just, you put it in TIG mode, you turn it on, and it's lift TIG and you go. But that's a great feature to have. Your normal MIG connection with the cap that are a nightmare to get off when they're new. Yeah, we're gonna use tools on that. Obviously swappable polarity here. 3 knobs, 6 buttons. One of the buttons is labeled model. I'm guessing that was supposed to be mode, but geez, you know, you would think by now we would have somebody in China that can translate this stuff better than they do it. I don't get it. Why? It's 2023. Somebody is well versed in Chinese and English that can say model is not the same as mode. Those are 2 very different words meaning 2 very different things. For the love of God. So the gun, pretty rigid, not bad, really light, actually oddly light cable. I kind of like that. The gun itself is super reinforced plastic, really stiff. Switch feels fine. This tip, oh God, I hate these. Okay, so there's a few different designs for these, taking these gas shields off. This is honestly the worst of the 3 options. I really like the threaded ones. You can't go wrong with a threaded one. It comes on and off very easily. It stays on once it's on. Then there's other ones that you slide on very easily, and there's a little metal collar that clamps them down. Those work great. They're easy to get on, easy to get off, and once they're on, they stay on. And then there's this, where you just have a little spring wound in here and it applies tension to the sides of these, and they either are hard to get off or they fall off. And there's very few in the middle. So right now, This one's hard to get on and off. Actually, it's a pain to get on and off. And then after enough use, it will start to fall off on its own. So not the best design there, but I mean, otherwise it's a good gun. Cable is pretty short. That's not even 10 feet. Rather than using all brass connectors here, they just did some sort of gold plating on an aluminum connector is what it appears to be. All right, get an extra tip and a wrench in the bag for that. That's good. Now here's where I'm always prepared to be disappointed. Ground clamp time. Yeah. So no surprises here. Very inexpensive ground cable. See if we can. Hey, it's copper though. That's great. Okay. Oh, so it's a 25 millimeter, but they use copper braided wire or stranded wire, so that's nice. Ground clamp is about as typical as they get. You'll want to upgrade these to something a little better in short order because they tend to get out of whack. Big connector on it instead of the smaller options. I like to see that too. These big connectors tend to hold up a lot better. They lock in nice. But yeah, pretty cheap ground cable. But with the copper upgrade, I'm okay with it. So this guy is an inverter welder, meaning it'll work on regular 120 volt or 240 volt operation. So that's great. That's actually one of the better stick welding clamps I've seen with one of these. Yeah, that sucker's meaty. Yeah, and it's all done, yeah, it's all cast. That's actually a really nice stick welding end. I'm gonna guess this is also copper. I can't really tell without taking this apart, and I don't feel like taking it apart, but it sure looks like the same exact cable that they're using on the ground, so I'm gonna guess that's copper. That's a nice stick welder tip. Comes with everyone's favorite throwaway brush and hammer. These things are useless. And holy crap. Very generous on the accessory package. We got a .08, a .8, a .6, a 1.0, and whatever we have in the machine right now for rollers to use different size MIG wire. There's an extra collet for the torch and 2 more extra tips. So this uses, it comes wired standard for 120, and then you can go up with this adapter that's included to your 240. And they do give you a rubber hose, which is good. A lot of these less expensive units have just that cheap nylon hose that is not great. So we'll get our gas hooked up. I got her plugged into 240 volts. And let's see how she does. I almost just started actually using this thing before taking it apart. I don't know where that came from. Let me disconnect a few things so we can get this thing apart before we even use it. Whew, good. That was a close one. A lot of companies will not run this handle into the chassis. Like you usually just undo these 4 screws or whatever and it comes right up. That's not good. I like to see that these guys actually ran it into the chassis. It just takes a lot of the load off the case. It keeps things from flexing, which is important when you're, dragging it around as a portable welder would be. Ease of disassembly, that's a 10. Well, that's different. Wonder why they did it that way. Well, that sure makes it tough to friggin' see. Tell you what, they did not make this easy to get a look at the guts here. Board's kind of in backwards from how it normally would be laid out. And then they do have a sheet here between the back of the board and the case itself, so to protect against obviously any arcing. But yeah, that's different. And the power supply is buried down in the channel. do we have holding you in here? Is it just this? Oh, so that is, yeah, that's an aluminum. So that, hopefully you guys can see this. Yeah, that's not great for a transfer of power productively anyway. That was potted in. What the frig else is holding this thing? Maybe that? Yep. There we go. Now we're cooking. I just want to see what they're using for MOSFETs. They use copper traces on the board. It's just really weird that they use those on the board and not anywhere else in the machine. Everything looks well done and well laid out, for the most part. They've done a nice job with the cooling channel here, through the big, choke on the end. Although this looks like it's set up to blow out the front, which is odd. Usually you'd be blowing out the back, but the way this is arranged, I think it's actually going this way, so that's kind of strange. We got 4 1500 farad or microfarad capacitors by a name I've never seen before, but they're stamped NECs. Back of the board looks really good. Conformally coated, you can see that in the shine. So if you got a little bit of water in here, it would not cause, or shouldn't cause, any problems. I don't recommend taking it for a swim, but all right. So the good, the bad, and the ugly here. Good board structure, good mounting. This should be made out of copper. It's not. They used a slip-on connector for the gas fitting on this side. Don't love that. Solenoid is all copper, but it's certainly high on the cheese factor. Drive motor and drive system, all one-piece cast, really nice. No Celastic on the connections going to the power switch. No real name brand components here. Okay, not a big deal. Didn't expect much else. All the components are Celastic'd in place. Traces look really good, nice and thick. And then they used actual copper wire instead of just balling up a bunch of solder on a lot of those traces, which I like that better as well. Kind of gets the heat off the board. Thermal management looks fine, tons of space in here, and they do have a little blocking channel to keep the air moving. Not much for chokes anywhere on here, so I'm betting this guy makes a lot of noise on your AC system, on your AC line. I bet you it backfeeds quite a bit of funny stuff through your power line. But it looks like it'll do the job, and there's nothing here that I could see would be an issue. I mean, other than, just kind of the janky connections here on the power side that isn't Celastic'd in. They Celastic'd everything else, so I'm not sure why they didn't do that. Grounding looks great all the way through. Yeah, looks good. Not great, but good. You have a fantastic feature, Pulse MIG, which is really a nice option to have, and not a lot of lower end or lower price units include that. This does. That's great. There's your pulse option there. So this is 1T mode, trigger mode, 2 trigger mode, so press it and it stays welding until you press it again. And then you have your, whatever I just said it was. God, I can't think of the names. Pulse MIG. So control panel overall is good. It's not fantastic. A little bit of Chinese to English issues. Not clear between gasless and gas MIG, which one is which. That could be so easily solved by just one of these saying gas MIG and one of them just saying MIG. You would have no question. Love the feature set on it, and the Pulse MIG is fantastic. Like the dials, the quick adjustment, but it's very controllable with your finger. You can do that quickly. And synergy modes, where it ties it all together, seem like they are set up. Oh, I'm in the wrong mode for that. There we go. Seems like they are set up very well, 19 volts at 106 amps. Pre and post flow control for the gas. Let's weld some stuff. All right, so we're gonna weld up, this is 14 gauge, and this is, that's about 1/8 of an inch. So dissimilar metals. I'm putting the thin stuff on the bottom, so it's very easy to melt through by accident. So that'll kind of give me an idea of control-wise, how well we can kind of control the puddle around there. I'm gonna set it at 126 amps. I'm using the synthesized setting, and then if we need to, we can make some adjustments from there.
You're so cold. You're so cold.
Really cold. Why are you so cold? All right, so I just did a couple of initial quick passes with it. And I'm finding the out of the box setting, I would bring the wire speed feed down just a little bit on the synth mode. I ended up popping out of this synthesized mode, and I just plugged in my own setting. So we're gonna go probably 19.5 at 8.7 meters a minute and see how that does. That's good. They still look a little cold. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh, that's nice. All right, let's give that a shot. Does nice tacks. Good. Yeah, it's still a little cold. It could have used a little more amperage. So let's do that. Let's kick her up. 21, and we'll do the backside at 21. Also, the material is going to be a lot warmer than it was in that first pass, so that's going to lower our need for heat. Nope. Now we need more feed speed. Let's see if she likes that any better. I think she still wants some more feed. I put a nice weld down. You can see that first one was a pretty cold weld. Just a lot of filler material hanging on the outside. That last pass, holy cow, this thing's hot. That last pass, she settled in real nice. Did a nice job. All right, so what's the verdict? It is good, it's not great, but it's good. And I think it's right in the middle of the pack with what you would see out there in this kind of price point. There's a couple of corners that were cut on it that I'm not a huge fan of, but nothing that really affects its performance and shouldn't affect really its reliability in the long term. Spool tensioning system, not a huge fan of. Drive system, definitely a huge fan out of that. Screen and controls, I like that they gave you individual controls so you can quickly make adjustments. I don't like that they're not really labeled very well or translated very well. Welding quality is very nice. I think it's probably a little bit of marketing wank in the 200 amp range. I think it's rated for it says 200 amps. It's probably capping at about 150, which is still a lot of current and plenty to do, you know, anything outside of building a bridge with it. So, you know, it's a good option. I would put it, again, right kind of in the middle of the pack there, and for the price they're offering and the extra stuff they give you, like the drive wheel selection, stuff like that, that makes it a very competitive offer. So I didn't see anything in there that scared me away completely, but there's definitely areas of opportunity for improved quality going forward, but that comes with the expensive price. So it's like, where do you draw the line? I think this is definitely drawn in a good spot for the average home user, and you know, even a small shop could get some use out of that for sure. So with that, if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, make sure you throw them down in the comment section below me. Appreciate you guys watching as always, and have a great day.